But I'm here today to talk to y'all about servant leadership. Servant leadership is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've always said, probably over the last 10 years, that is really what I try to do. But to teach y'all about servant leadership, or even discuss servant leadership, we need to kind of define it. So I'm going to ask some questions, and hopefully someone will raise their hand and maybe give me some answers and stuff, and then we can go back and forth. But would someone in the room just tell me, what is their definition of leadership? Influence. Anything else? Vision. Okay. The thing is, leadership is just that. Remember, leadership is not a position. It's not a title. It's where a lot of people mess up. Servant. Someone tell me what the definition of a servant is. Y'all are a quiet group. So, you with the water, what is a servant?
Serve for other people, not yourself.
Serve for other people, not yourself. Thank you. So, gotta get the crowd pumped up. I'm normally walking around. They put me in a box up here, so I can't really walk around and talk to people and touch people. So, I guess that's good. But that's the thing is, someone had to tell me. I think everybody in here is law enforcement. Why did you become a law enforcement officer? What was your purpose? We just heard him talk about purpose. What was your purpose? Why did you one day decide to be a police officer? To serve the community. Anybody here got military? Okay. Someone that's military. Why did you join the military? Serve. To help somebody. There's a reason a lot of people say we're public servants. Y'all ever been called that before? Yep. Y'all need some more caffeine or something. We got to liven this group up. But yeah, public servant. It's because we serve. Mark Twain said there's two important dates that everybody knows. The day you're born and the day you figure out why you were born. Okay? It's a purpose. You just heard it. Why were you born? What is your true purpose? What are you meant to do? We hear the old saying too, if you find something that you love to do as a job, you never work a day in your life. Is that correct? You enjoy it. It doesn't matter that we're underpaid. It doesn't matter that our benefits. It doesn't matter what's going on. You're driven by a greater purpose. You're driven by your why. So as a servant leader, it's our job to try to figure out why and motivate our people, right? But it's also to find why we need to keep motivating ourselves. How many of y'all have sat down and never written down your core values? The gentleman in the back with the glasses. What's one of your core values? I saw you shaking your head.
Service.
Service? Anybody else has another core value? Commitment. Integrity. Teamwork.
Humility.
I'm sorry?
Humility.
Humility. It's a good one. Positivity. Faith. Thank you. Faith is actually my number one core value. I don't know if anybody's ever taken some of the tests they give, Myers-Briggs and some others, what it is. It always come up, faith is my number one. When I tell people that, they'll say, Chad, you can't talk, I've been told you can't talk about religion at work. Faith is much, much more than religion. Faith as a core value means that I have faith in humanity. I have faith in integrity. I have faith in human beings. I have faith in our government. I have faith of people that are going to do the right thing. I have faith that people are born good. I tell people one time, my daughter's a teacher. In her class, she came to me and she was struggling. And she said, Dad, I don't know how to answer this question. He said, are kids born good or bad? Are there bad kids? Are they good kids? We've labeled them. Oh, that's a bad kid. Not bad. Maybe they have a learning disability. She's She's a special ed teacher. So we're so quick to judge and put labels on people. Being a servant leader, you don't do that. Servant leader treats everybody with dignity and respect. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is one of my favorite authors. One of the things I also told Frank to do is I'm going to get us back on time, so I took this hour presentation with the PowerPoint and I cut it down to a 20-minute, and then I went back to a 45-minute, and I think now I'm back to about a 25-minute. So, has anybody here read any Mark Miller? Does anybody know who Mark Miller is? Mark Miller is a professional development executive for Chick-fil-A. Most of y'all know Chick-fil-A has some strong core values. One of the things, talking with him, have you ever had a situation where you were asked to do something or worked in an organization where your core values didn't match with the organization's core values? Is anybody? Has anybody worked for a leader that their core values didn't match with your core values? We'll go down on it. Got some hands going up. What did you do? What did you do? Wound up leaving. Anybody else? Caused an internal conflict, didn't it? Because your core values were at odds too, weren't they? Some say professionalism. I show up to work. I want to do the best job I can. But yet I'm being asked to do something that I don't want to do. There's leaders out there that are unethical, unmoral. They ask you to do things illegal. And it's a conflict. And then it's the flip side. Well, if I leave, what's going to happen? I haven't been here 30 years. I won't get my pension. Will I be able to find a job? But at the end of your life, it's always said, several authors have written about this, nobody on their deathbed says, man, I wish I worked more. I wish I'd have stayed in that dead-end job. They miss the things that they value. Family is my second. If it goes against my family, I'm not for it. If it takes time away from my family, I'm not for it. Work-life balance is something I've struggled with all my life. As you move up through the ranks, most of y'all have, you're trying to get educated, trying to get classes like this. And then you have your family, overtime, work, family. Things always pull you. So Mark Miller writes, and in a book, Heart of Leadership. So those, again, I've heard for the note takers, if you want to spell heart, just going down, I want to give you a few words of wisdom I've learned. The first thing about a servant leader is he hungers, or she hungers, for wisdom. Now, is there a difference between wisdom and knowledge? I see some head shaking, we're getting there. It's right. You heard it before. The chief spoke of it. First thing he did is he called a chief that had more experience. Started working that relationship. Because you know as a leader, you're going to come to those situations that you have never faced before. You have several options. It's always a good option to call a chief or a lieutenant or a sergeant or a friend or a pastor that may have handled that situation before. It's okay not to know what to do. And to say, what did you do? How did you handle this? Bill Gates was quoted one time saying, if he ever walks into a room and he's the smartest person in the room, he finds a different room. He knows Steve Jobs was the same way. Very intelligent people. But they didn't hire intelligent people to tell them what to do. They hired intelligent people to help them get to where they were going. You don't want to be that leader that drives over the cliff with everybody cheering you on. Hunger for wisdom. Knowledge is one thing, but even though you may be mentoring someone, be a mentee. And not just be a mentee for someone that's older than you. How many of y'all have had problems with Gen Zs and millennials? Is that the big thing now? You're laughing, but then they don't communicate the same way. They don't listen to us. Find a mentor that's younger than you are, that you have as a confidant, as an ally. What's going on? How do I communicate? Every organization says we have a communication problem, top to bottom, side to side. They just don't listen. They don't talk. I send them an email. We don't read emails. Communicate. Group think. E. Expect the best. As a leader, you set the bar. If you set the bar here, that's where you're going to get. If you set the bar high, that's what you're going to get. Read an article about the military. They talked about they wanted more diversity. So they said one of the things is that our PT test is too hard. We need to calm it down. Do I have any Marines in here?
Yep.
Thank you for your service. As a Marines, did y'all lower your PT? What'd you do?
Kept it decided all it was.
Kept it the same. Actually, you raised it a little bit because they said to be a Marine means to be here. We're not going to drop our standard to let somebody in that doesn't meet our standard. They're also one of the most diverse military groups that we have. They set the bar high and they maintained it. That was the integrity. Also, I see a lot of leaders that get in those roles. They don't lead by example. If you don't think your people are not watching you every step of the way, you're kidding yourself. They are so quick to point out any little thing you do. Lead by example. One of the quotes, if you ever come into my office or whatever, Ken Blanchard wrote a book, Lead Like Jesus. That's what I have written at the top of my board. Again, faith is my number one core value. Lead by example. Your A, accept responsibility. Again, how many of y'all have had a leader that something goes wrong and it's always their fault? This happened. They're making excuses to what happened. They didn't accept responsibility. Accept responsibility. Hey, we missed the mark on that one, didn't we? Let's fix it. Most of y'all understand that planning P, right? You have an idea, it goes around, and you keep evaluating it. Sometimes you get the results you want, sometimes you don't. People fear failure. Well, what is really failure? It's learning, isn't it? Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity. If you do the same thing over and over and over, but expect different results. You can't get a different result if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over. You got to change something. You got to add something, take something away. Sometimes it's change your people. Sometimes it's change the process. Don't fear failure. Learn from failure. A few more points I want to make. One is the reason leaders fail. Has anybody ever read It's Your Ship or It's Our Ship? Michael Abershaw talks about he became a captain, takes over one of the worst fleets in the Navy, ships in the Navy, and within 1 year he turns it around. It's a really good book. A lot of good advice, especially for new leaders when you're going into a new situation and things like that. It's also why leaders eat last and things like that. But Michael Abershaw said three things when something didn't go the way he wanted, the intended outcome. Again, he accepted the responsibility. And the first thing he would always ask himself after he would kind of rant, he said for a minute, was, did I articulate the goal? Did I tell the people exactly what I wanted done or what what should have happened. Then he said, I would always ask myself, did I give them enough time? Did I listen to them when they said, oh, that can't be done in this time? Oh, yes, it will be done in this time. And he said, the last one he'd asked, did I give them enough training? Did I put the right people on the job? He said 90% of the time, he was the one responsible for why something didn't go right. He accepted the responsibility. He said, so instead of yelling at his people or whatever, he would turn around and say, okay, let's get a better plan. Let's work through this. I know we're kind of short on time, so I'm going to jump to my big bag here. Again, I told y'all when I came in, this is my leadership bag. Has all the tools I need to do my job. And it helps me to remember about service to others. So you can write serve down. And the first thing, see the future. We talked about the vision. So there's a vision. So how do we get there? Well, sometimes I pull out my old magnifying glass and I get down into the weeds and I look at all the little tiny problems. Sometimes we just need to start over and I get out my big hammer and just start beating things. But either way, we're going to get there. Because sometimes you can build something very beautiful with this. But it also can be very destructive. Anybody hung a picture on the wall? You go get your old 20-pound hammer, or do you get a little hammer? I know, guys, come on, I'll go get the 20. I can do this. And then we do some patchwork, right? But those are my tools, so to remind me, look at the vision, move us forward. Don't forget the details. E, engage others. You've got to engage the people around you. You hire people, you promote people, engage them, educate them. For that, and those that don't know this, millennials, it's a slinky. People ask, why does a slinky remind you of leadership? Because it's the one practice. Leaders always need to go first. And as the leader goes first, they educate those behind them. They mentor them. They coach them. They give them the life skills. And eventually, your mentor or your mentee becomes the next leader. Y'all seen the slinky going down the stairs. It flips over and over. The other thing, and this was baton. How many of y'all are succession planning? Chiefs, y'all succession planning? Old mentality. I'm not going to tell you what I know because you may come take my job. Servant leader. Teach them. Have them be a better leader than you are. Challenge somebody. It can be a real baton. It could be a football. It could be whatever. Pass that baton. Pass that symbol. Let them know that you believe in them. Encourage them. Build them up. Pass the baton. This usually is a crowd favorite, but reinvent continuously. So y'all are here today to learn. It's a good thing. Anybody in college? No, everybody's got their masters and doctorates and all that. Y'all take certification classes. You have to constantly. How often does the law change? All the time. Stay up to date. Just like Jif. Jif peanut butter. Does anybody know their slogan? I know there's some Jiffy people in here. What's the slogan? Choose your mom, choose Jif, because it's guaranteed fresh. Jif is guaranteed fresh. You need to be like that thing of Jiffy. You need to be guaranteed fresh. Don't get old. Don't get stale. Don't get old salty. Guaranteed fresh. Value results in relationships, your networking. So sometimes relationships are tricky. Sometimes they get broken. Sometimes you may have to pull out the old glue and the duct tape. Got to patch them. Got to rebuild them. These are my tools. Not every time, every relationship, every contract is going to go the way you want to. Sometimes people's feelings get hurt. Promotional exams. You got to continue to work on the people. Make sure you're taking time to reward your people. Point out the positives, not just the negatives. Hand out, I heard the coins. It's a great thing. Got one in my pocket. Make sure you're acknowledging all the great work. It's funny how little things go a long way. Most public servants they'll say they don't want recognition. Humanity says it's nice to be congratulated or told you did a good job. Most people want to know that. Want to know that you're proud of them. And the last thing I have for y'all, embody the values. We each have values, core values. Our departments have core values. If you're the leader of that organization, you need to embody those values. People are looking at you. And when you go against the core values, they know it. And it causes people to leave the job. It causes people to be frustrated with the job. You lose trust. You lose respect. So again, remember, I said, and I was looking for it. There it is, down in the bottom. My core value was faith. But as Mike Habershaw wrote in his book, he gave a little hint to a problem solver. And it's the last thing, well, not the last thing in my tool bag here, because I have other things like a jump rope and oxygen mask and things like that. But I have a problem solver. Mike Habershaw said 90% of the time he could figure out what the problem was. And he used a mirror. If you're running into problems, don't let fear or anger. Look in a mirror. Ask yourself those 3 questions. Did I give them the right goals, the right parameters? Did I give them enough time? Did I give them enough resources? Did I give them enough education? 90% of the time, he would answer, no, I did not. I did not. The failure rested on the leader. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything to serve somebody, to open a door, to say thank you, to give praise. Servant leadership isn't about the accolades and the rewards that you're putting on your walls. It's the things that you can give your people. What you need to give them is that vision. You need to give them a leader that they can look up to, that they can embody, that they can follow. You're not a leader if you have no followers. You're a person out for a walk. Remember, it's not about you, it's about your team. It's the little I, the big we, so everybody can celebrate and win. Thank y'all. If y'all need anything, please let me know how I can serve you.
Some of the live stream people were asking about the HEART acronym that you mentioned. If you could cover that one more time.
The HEART?
Yeah, just before you go.
Yep. Real quick, I'll run through the HEART. The H was the hunger for wisdom. Is to be the mentor. Just don't get education. Get the mentors. Learn from people that have done it before. Expect the best. Don't set the bar low. Continually raise the bar. Continually improve. Accept responsibility. The Mike Habershaw. respond with courage, make sure, like Nelson Mandela did. He said they were going to hang me either way. He stood up for his core values. He stood up for his people. He responded with courage when faced with adversity. He did not back away. And the last is think others first. And with that, that is servant leadership in the heart of a leader. Thank y'all. If I can ever do anything for you, let me know. Have a good day.